Liverpool Football Club are set to hijack Chelsea and Real Madrid's pursuit of one of the most exciting, young, up-and-coming midfielders in European football in Tchouameni. Talks have begun between the representation of the player and Liverpool's hierarchy. One of the biggest areas for Liverpool to address and improve in this forthcoming summer is their central midfield areas. They're currently looking at winning an historic quad, an achievement never done, never gained, never garnished, never yielded by any English football team ever. But they're not resting on their laurels. They're not saying, that's us, we're here, we've made it. They are looking to improve and improve brilliantly. Of course, Jude Bellingham is still on the radar for Liverpool Football Club as well. But Tchouameni is a deal they are looking to hijack, that they are now officially involved in as transfer talks begin. Now, we're going to delve into this in a lot more detail. I want your thoughts and I want your feelings for a live edition of the Done Deal Show. We're also going to talk a little bit about Darwin Núñez a little bit later on as well. Make sure like buttons are being smashed. Make sure you're subscribed to the Football Terrace. Let's go. Welcome back, people. Make sure like buttons are being smashed. You're subscribing and you're turning on the bell notifications. We'll be covering a hell of a lot of transfer stories over the course of the next 3 to 4 months. Pre-records, daily live streams for you will be coming back as well, and the chance for you to phone in and have your say. I'm away and out and about this week, so I'll be streaming from a number of different locations, but I won't be letting you down. I'm always here for you, always bringing that news. Match reaction still going ahead. We did have to postpone Straight Facts with Lee Gunner. He pulled out, wasn't feeling very well. That's happening tomorrow at 5 p.m. Straight Facts with Jess and I is going to move to Thursday, and we'll go from there. But we're here to talk Tchouameni, and this is big, big transfer news indeed. It really, really is, because Liverpool Football Club, they were linked with Jude Bellingham, and that was scary enough as it was. Chelsea Football Club have been seen as the Premier League's front runners for this young French midfielder for a while, but Real Madrid, in the past 2 to 3 weeks, it's been kind of universally reported that Real Madrid were leading the way. That's where he was going to end up. And everybody kind of stopped looking at it, focusing upon it, thinking that it was going to be plausible for anybody else to step in. I want to point out this news article first and foremost. I've clicked on here. It's not positioned very well on the screen on Give Me Get Football News France now, because they position it on the right. But anyway, Football, I want to try and pronounce this right, Mercato, reported that Liverpool, Chelsea and Real Madrid are all interested in Tchouameni on the 19th of March. And the reason that I say that is that this is significant is this Liverpool news isn't a bolt from the blue. It didn't come originally from a highly credible, or let me change the word from credible, because the word credible is misused now, a popular, fashionable outlet. Therefore, people disregard it. I remember when they spoke about Messi leaving Barca in the summer last year and Ronaldo leaving Juve, it was from the same outlet and then just not regarded as very popular. But it turned out to be true. So that's why I would say to Liverpool fans today, this isn't just suddenly a random made-up social media story. Liverpool's connections to Tchouameni are in the region of 6 to 7 weeks old as of now, depending on what publication that you read. The scary element here is that I can see this happening. Real Madrid might be the front runners, but they are not. Spanish football is in at club level. Real Madrid, they're not at the peak of their powers anymore. And yes, they're looking to rebuild and get themselves back. Now, look, they're in a Champions League semi-final. They're doing quite well, right? They play Man City tonight. We're live after that game. But are they as powerful, potent, and attractive as the Liverpools and Manchester Cities right now? Liverpool and Man City have the best two managers in the world, the best two teams in the world, and they don't look like they're going to be relinquishing that grip anytime soon. What's really intriguing about English football is when you go back 10 plus years ago, where we were dominating Europe. From Arsenal making that final in 2000, from Liverpool making the final against AC Milan, which the great Istanbul game. Arsenal the following year, English finals with Man United and Chelsea, right through to Chelsea winning that Champions League in 2011. That was England's most potent period in the Premier League era in European football. But financially, the Barcelonas and the Real Madrids were so much stronger than we were. They went again. They went big. They built these two gargantuan teams that then, between them and Bayern Munich threw their hat in as well, dominated Europe for the next almost decade. The difference now when it comes to Liverpool, when it comes to City, we're going to focus here on Liverpool though, when it comes to these transfers at this point, is the money that the Premier League now has compared to our European counterparts. The gulf is gargantuan. It's huge. You're talking dramatic differences in what clubs can do. And Liverpool are at the top. They are at the top of the mountain right now. So they have a massive chance. Let me bring this right back around. They have a massive chance of signing Tchouameni simply based on that. They've got a huge chance because at the end of the day, they are there. They are performing. They are delivering at this moment in time. On top of also delivering right now, they're going to add more quality to it. They can pay big wages. They can pay massive bonuses, which is kind of the structure at Liverpool Football Club. Their bonus structure is huge. And that might seem more attractive to a young player, 22 years of age like Tchouameni, than going to a Real Madrid who are about to start their rebuild. And I know they're in a European semi-final, but look, if PSG had any bottle about them, and if Chelsea Football Club just defended well for the first 30 minutes of the game at Stamford Bridge, I do think Real Madrid would have gone out. Now, I shared the studio with a man like Lies, who I know he's a United fan, but he's a little bit too much of a soft spot, I would say, for Benzema. I'm talking, do you know what I mean? But if he's watching Lies, I'm sorry. But he even said it. He wanted Real Madrid to win. He was happy they won. But he didn't see it coming. They have to rebuild. They have to recycle that midfield. But there's no foregone conclusions. Liverpool are there now. There are no teams in the world, probably outside Man City, that you would look at and say are better than Liverpool. Liverpool up against Real Madrid. Liverpool are the clear favourites. So that's going to give them a huge advantage when going in for this player. From a Chelsea point of view, this is interesting because what next for them? What do they do next now? Because they've got all these defensive issues at the back. Lukaku's pushing for a move. We did content on that earlier on today. Have they got the time, the facilities, and the manpower at the club to sort out those defensive issues, sort out the striker issue, which is important, and reinvest in that midfield? Maybe. Could Tchouameni then slip through the net? Now, I want your thoughts and I want your feelings. I'm going to go to your live comments now, but I do need that like button to be smashed. What are we all saying here? Yes, it is a bit old school, Terry, today, yeah, in terms of how we're streaming, but we're back soon. Don't worry about it. It's all good. Don't disrespect Real Madrid's attraction to young players. Again, zero disrespect. I didn't say they couldn't sign him. I didn't say they wouldn't sign him. I simply stated that where Liverpool could have an advantage is the fact that they're at the top of the mountain right now, and that plays a big part. And that's, let me rephrase that, not rephrase it, let me reiterate. Where they could have an advantage doesn't mean they are guaranteed to get him. I think to write Liverpool out of this is an absolute madness. It absolutely is. We've always had more money. That's why Real Madrid and Barca went bust. They had to pay more to compete. Well, they also went bust because what generally happens, and I'm going to really boil this down in Spain, is that those two clubs have built up these massive debts, and then their governments write it off. Like they just get to, it's basically free money from the taxpayer to run their football clubs. I don't know how the taxpayer feels about it in Spain. I don't delve into that element, but that's how they've essentially done it. But because of the pandemic, because of the money that nations had to spend actually giving their money to people, and I'm sure Spain had its own furlough type exercises. I'm sure it did. Every economy got destroyed. Economies getting destroyed means the government takes less money. They've not been able, like there's no justification to saying, Real Madrid, listen, we'll write off that £300 million debt that you've got. They've got no way they can do it. So that's really what's happened there. Terry, he won't go to Liverpool. He wants first team football. Bro, you're one of my members. I respect you. Let me just say this. He gets first team football at Liverpool ahead of Jordan Henderson. I honestly think Tchouameni, Naby Keita is probably better than him right now, but he is going to be streets ahead of him. Thiago's getting older. He will play first team football almost straight away at Liverpool. Liverpool rotate anyway, the same as Real Madrid will. So it isn't you're going to start 38 games of the season. This young man, he has the ability to become generational. And I think we always work generational talent the wrong way round. We say everyone who's talented is a generational talent. I don't think you're a generational talent until after you've achieved. I think you have to do it before you're actually a generational talent. And that's the key thing here. He has the ability to be one of the leading likes for the next 10 to 15 years. In 15 might be a push, that make him 37, but at least 10 years in European football. I think he plays for Liverpool. Terry, yes, match reaction tonight after the Manchester City Real Madrid game. We will be going live after that match. The only reason we didn't do a City one the other day, I know you weren't happy, Blue Viper, is Canadian Cam was over visiting from Canada, and he's been very influential, very supportive of the Football Terrace. Very much helped with our deal that we did with Snack, to be fair. And he was over, we were having a drink, and I decided to spend a little bit of time with friends. Same as I didn't do a Liverpool one the other day because of my son's beautiful birthday. No, Terry has not been kidnapped. Relax, it's all good. I haven't been kidnapped. Interesting one here. Terry, Tchouameni will cost 80 million. This is very true. We tweeted about this earlier on today. His price has been set at around 80 odd million pounds, but he's affordable to all three clubs that are involved in him because of his age. So remember, transfer fees are not paid in lump sums up front. Never been done like that. Transfer fees are also not based on net spend. Net spend in its basic form doesn't exist. It's paid for via amortization. So he will sign a 6-year deal with Liverpool, meaning it would be 80 million pounds spread over a 6-year period. That reduces the costs significantly in terms of upfront. You know, you're not even looking at 20 million pound year one. Secondly, Tchouameni is one of the next superstars of the game. So from Liverpool's point of view, there is a huge commercial benefit here, massive within the French market. Tchouameni is also one of these players who I think is going to transcend nationality. He will be popular in Spain, England, France, Nigeria, America, Canada, Brazil, and Australia. He'll be popular with fans around the world. He will have fanboys. Fanboys equal backing. Backing equals money. So remember, net spend in its basic form, it's never existed. It's never been there. But in the modern day game, it's even less important. Yes, some clubs might need to spend to generate more income so they can go out and buy more. So in that basic sense, maybe net spend is real to some people. But Tchouameni will generate a big income, therefore covering a large percentage of his wages, bonuses, and his salary. Plus, he's so young. So when you amortize the cost of the player, if you have him for 10 years, he costs £8 million a year. Now, imagine he stays at the level he's at now. Would you pay £8 million a year to have a player like him in your team, as in a fee? Of course you would. Only a fool would not. Brilliant piece of business that he can get for Liverpool. And it's exceedingly affordable when you look at it from the real financial angles. Let's look at some more of your comments that are coming through. Make sure that like, but what are we on likewise now? Come on. There's nearly 1,000 watching and we're on 113 likes. What is wrong with you all? Get it to 500 likes, people. Get it smashed right about now for the Football Terrace. Let's get that done. Remember, Ndombele had this hype. Yeah, he did. And that's where the risk comes in. There's always a risk with any transfer, whether it be Tchouameni, whether it be Declan Rice, whether it be Jude Bellingham. Not all young players, not all established players make it. Not all established players make it. But that's not a reason to not do the business. Because if we use that logic, I can't buy any player because they might flop. You would do no transfers unless they were all Andy Robertsons. And really and truly, how many Andy Robertsons have actually happened? How many £8 million players have been bought and turned into 80, 90 million pound players? Very few. There's a finite amount. And you'll probably be able to name, if we name more than 5 different players that have done that in the comment section in the next couple of minutes, I'd be surprised. Give that a go for us. Dexter here, big Chelsea fan, says, Koundé and Tchouameni spoke about joining Chelsea together. Should be a done deal, but our scouts messed this up. Recommended Sal over Tchouameni. Need a scout overhaul. He believes it will be Real Madrid, followed by Chelsea, followed by Liverpool. I think Chelsea's ability to sign him is going to be very much based and centered around what these new owners want. And it's something I would say to Chelsea fans that I saw today. Okay. Something that I saw today, which I would say I'd be slightly concerned about as a Chelsea fan, is that all the new bidders for Chelsea are being told they have to put a guarantee in place they will own the club for at least 10 years. Why do you think they've got to put that guarantee in place? Because everyone that's investing in the purchases is doing it for investment reasons, to get a yield, to get a return, to make money. I saw people buzzing the other day that Serena Williams and Lewis Hamilton were buying it. They're not buying it. They're investing their money into it, and at some point they want it sold so they make more. They make their money plus a profit back. That's got to be more concerning for Chelsea fans than anything else. That actually should have been a bigger talking point in some regards than the Ricketts protests. I understand the morality around that, but who are these people that are coming in, and what are their true intentions? How long are they looking to own us for? The investors, what are they looking to make out of it? That should be more of a concern, in my humble opinion. There you go, Terry. Like button hit. We need to get a CDM at United, but this guy is my first pick. Listen, I'd love to have Tchouameni at Manchester United. I can't see us having the ability to pull it off him, I'm being honest. Super chats have started as well. There's no chance of this happening, but a future Liverpool midfielder of Tchouameni, Bellingham, and Elliott would be world class, but we can dream. What I don't see happening for Liverpool is Tchouameni and Jude Bellingham. I don't see you signing both, not in one summer anyway. You're talking probably 170 to 180 million pounds for the two, plus huge salaries, huge agent fees. I don't see Liverpool having the budget to spread that far. But if they did, it would break the internet. The internet would stop working. If he's 80 million, I'd rather spend an extra 20 million inside Jude Bellingham, is what Andy Lennon said. I get you. And a lot of people will say that. I don't think there is much between these two players. I've seen them both play. I think they're both highly talented. I think they're both brilliant at what they do. I don't think there is this gargantuan difference in class. The 20 million pound extra for Jude Bellingham, some will call it English tax. I call it commercial tax. Jude Bellingham in the English market, playing in the English league, he's going to generate you more money in the short term than Tchouameni. You know, you've got the image rights that you own, the England connection there. He's worth so much money to Liverpool Football Club. That'll be why that is. But both top players. Keep up the good work, Terry. Liverpool building the ultimate team. As United fan, I'm feeling 10 to 15 years behind Liverpool if they sign him. It's not even 10 to 15 years. It's just doing the right business, doing the right recruitment, bringing in the right people. And if Man United start to get that right, they can catch up. But Liverpool, peak of their powers right now. They really are. Excuse me, just taking a sip of my drink. And, you know, they're doing brilliant things, Liverpool. They're doing absolute brilliant things. They really, really are. Madrid have Camavinga, but that's never stopped them before. I hope Thomas Tuchel can blag him. Sorry, not Thomas Tuchel. I don't know why I read that as Thomas Tuchel. Ten Hag can blag him to come to Old Trafford. Yeah, I'd love him. Look, Man United are looking at Frankie de Jong. We're going to get some content out on that later on in the week. There's lots of talent out there. Keep them super chats coming in, people. The same outlet and guy who broke the news said he'd cost around 65 to 70 million pounds in March. Naby Keita cost Liverpool approximately the same amount. And look, that's how you know Liverpool can afford it. They've spent that kind of money before. And Liverpool have a bigger income stream now than they did 3 or 4 years ago. Prize money. Their sponsorship levels are going through the roof. You've also got to remember, this is little things. And we'll always bring you the financial side of it on the terrace because it was a big part of my life. There is the new American TV deal money, which is worth on average around about 45 to 50 million pound additional income each year for each club. Now, I don't think that kicks in until the following season. But you can spend ahead of time because the money isn't paid out lump sum up front. It's paid out in installments. So you can kind of, you know, I used to have to do this as a young man because we didn't have money growing up. I lived on a council estate. We had like Littlewoods catalogs and it was buy now, pay in 12 months. Sometimes we had one catalog where for the first 2 years, you could pay your clothes off or your trainers off or your computer off interest free. That's essentially how football teams buy their players. And it isn't to be cheap. Big businesses, rich people don't spend their own money if they can help it. At the very least, they don't like spending it all in one lump sum. Some football clubs still borrow their money as loans from banks and pay it back. Why? Because you might be earning a 3 to 4% yield from your bank as in interest. on £100 million of cash reserves. You might be able to borrow £50 million at like 1% interest in total, a few points over base, and so it's actually cheaper to borrow the money than it is to spend the money that you own yourself. So I wouldn't worry too much about it at all. But if he is cheaper than 80 odd million pound, then what a steal! What a steal that will be for Liverpool Football Club. Now I want to do a quick update as well on Darwin Núñez. Now a lot of people rave about this guy. I'm still not 100% convinced. He was brilliant in the second game against Liverpool. Saw some excellent technique. He did score a goal. I think he scored 2 goals over those 2 legs. Good player. But the news is today that Man United are leading the race to sign him. Now, Arsenal fans are going to cry about this. Arsenal fans are going to be upset about this. Arsenal fans are going to be angry about this. And we know why. Because they really, really want him and he's top knot. Man United do need a new striker, though. And I want your thoughts and I want your feelings on Darwin Núñez to Manchester United. That's the news today that we're the front runners for him, with the bookies' favourites for him. Would he make the desired impact at Manchester United Football Club? Comment here says, I understand. Oh, it's from, how do I pronounce your name here? I'm actually really struggling with that one. I'm really struggling with my dyslexia. But thank you for being a member, brother. He says, I understand your point, Terry, but as far as I know, he's in direct competition with Fabinho. He won't play ahead of Fabinho. Maybe Fabregas can work his magic and send him to the bridge. I hear you on that. And maybe that's it. I mean, in people's opinions, do Tchouameni and Fabinho play in the same position? Are they both do that role? Is that how people see him? I want your thoughts and I want your feelings on that, my people. I really do. Let's have a little look here at some more of your comments coming through. I get the feeling United will sign Kane. I'm like excited and scared of that deal at the same time. I really, really am. Both. That literally is. It gives me the weirdest feelings of excitement and the heebie-jeebies. I'm like, I don't know if I want that. But then I've seen how good he's been under Antonio Conte, and it's like, that's a serious player. that's a serious player. It really is. Dexter here says, I feel like Darwin Núñez is a trap. No guarantee he'll do well in the Prem. Might be better if he goes to a club with no trophy expectations, less pressure, and will get time to settle in. That could also be very, very true as well. Núñez, I can't lie. There's too much hype around him. Is what how you doing, Samuel? Hope you're well, my brother. All right. That's a weird comment. I'm not going to read it out, though. Maguire will end the career of Haaland, just like Roy Keane did with his fight. All right, calm down, mate. Calm down. Calm down. He can play 6 and 8, Terry. Yeah, I hear that. Yes, they're both 6s. That's what I love about football opinion. They're both 6s. They play 6 and 8. I know that, again, I want to get people's take on this. When you say CDM, it's an intriguing one for me because I always looked at N'Golo Kante in his peak time at Leicester and then his first little period at Chelsea, and I just looked at him as a defensive midfielder, a CDM, if you like. And then people were like, no, he's not, he's this, no, he's not, he's that. I'm intrigued by people's opinions of, do all CDMs do the same job? I don't know if they do. And I'll give you an example. I always looked at can't remember his name. Michael Carrick was a CDM to me. He'd sit deep, he'd protect the back line, and he'd control the tempo of the game. It's very different from what I saw peak Claude Makelele do. Kante, where I'm not kind of reducing their game here. Of course, they could play football, but they were the tacklers. They covered a lot of ground. They were energetic. Like, of course, Claude Makelele in his younger days, they were just these powerhouses. So they played the same role, but they did it differently. There is also a view in many people's eyes that you can both do that. You can have two of those types of players next to each other, and then one can push further forward, i.e. Tchouameni has the ability to be more forward-thinking in terms of the 8. And again, my interpretation of an 8 is just a little bit more box-to-box. But you can have a DM whose sole job is to DM, and then someone who marauders forward a little bit more, but they still have good defensive capabilities, and that's important in the Liverpool team. And I bring that back round because the midfielders' jobs generally is to protect the flanks when your fullbacks go forward. So I think it could work still. I went around the houses to bring that back. Like, I don't really, when people say someone plays 6, someone plays 8, I kind of switch off a little bit because I'm like, you can have 5 different types of players that all play the same number. You know, David Beckham and Cristiano Ronaldo were both traditional right-sided wingers, but look how different they played it. Look how different they played it. Now, that's, the difference in those roles is there was only one position for that. You couldn't have 2 wingers next to each other in a game. But midfield, now that 2 and 3 are played, maybe. Kante is yeah, look, I say Kante is a CDM, but I've had lots of people tell me he isn't, and then you get the your ball knowledge is bad. It's like cool. Let's have a little look here. What more you were saying? Partey is his inspiration. Thomas Partey is a player, mate. Thomas Partey is a good player. There's no doubt about it. He's just not been very good at Arsenal yet. He's about 4 or 5 good games. But he was cheap because of the buyout clause. So less of a risk. Kante was a CDM, but is more like Declan Rice type. They're destroyers, not anchormen. Yeah, exactly. And again, but what we have a habit of doing as football fans is we often reduce destroyers into, like, Lee Cattermole was a destroyer, but he wasn't like a very good footballer. He was a good professional, great destroyer, but he couldn't ball like Kante, couldn't pass the ball like Paul Makelele. But then you have the sort of anchor, like, again, I'd call them anchormen or deep line playmakers. Regista is obviously the name used in Italy. The Jorginho types, the Verratti types. You know, Paul Scholes in his latter career was almost DM position. He'd just sit back deep and he'd orchestrate and move the ball. But then what he needed was like a Carrick next to him to sweep up and do the more defensive element of it. There's lots of deep sitting midfielders, you know. In my day, we just called them all CMs. And one was a bit more defensive and one was a bit more attacking. There's so many names for it now. I blame Football Manager there. There we go. Carrick is a deep line playmaker. Yeah, again, you've just got a different view to it. He did play make, but he protected the back line. His reading of the game was impeccable. And in the modern day game, he'd be respected a lot more than he was really in his pomp. Make sure that like button is being smashed, people. What are we on now? Just under 300. Let's get this past that 500 mark while we're live. The big news today, Liverpool trying to hijack Real Madrid and Chelsea's pursuits of the brilliant Tchouameni. Do you think Liverpool can get it done and get it over the line? Someone's like laughing I mentioned Lee Cattermole, but it's important to mention Lee Cattermole because we have this habit. I'll give you a prime example. Roy Keane. Roy Keane is looked at as a tough, strong, hard-tackling, no-nonsense midfield player. He was so good on the ball. He was technically brilliant. He wasn't Mark Noble. He wasn't Lee Cattermole. He wasn't Joey Barton. But when you have someone that's called a destroyer or a powerhouse or an enforcer, we often reduce their technical ability. You shouldn't do that. You know, you shouldn't do that. Too many vowels in my name, Terry. I can understand. Yeah, bruv, it's that and being dyslexic don't work for me. Don't work for me. There we go. Why have you got the word done deal in the title? Because all the Football Terrace transfer shows are called done deal shows. It's the name of the show. Do you know what I mean? Soccer AM is called Soccer AM, but they don't play a soccer match. Chill out, people. Chill out. Terry, Fabrizio just tweeted about Pau Torres. I read rumors this morning about Man United looking at Pau Torres. I'm sure Fabrizio is great at this. What he'll do is he'll see the news out there and he'll probably spend all morning reaching out to his contacts to see whether or not it's true. I haven't seen anything on that there. Oh my God, do they really quote them here? Talks are underway and progressing well with Man United and Pau Torres as representatives. Oh, interesting one. I'll take a little look at that a little bit later. Oh yeah, Man United, Man City and Chelsea are all interested in Pau Torres is what's being said there. I'm not surprised to read that news. That isn't surprising to anybody at all, really, is it? There we go. Let's have a little look here at some more of your comments here before we come to the end of this brilliant stream. Mark Noble was good, but he wasn't Roy Keane level. Come on now. Come on now. He wasn't. Let's have a little look here. I don't know. Tchouameni, Liverpool, get him ASAP is what's being said here. Not true. Rice is a holding destroyer. Kante is a box-to-box destroyer. Both are defensive midfielders. Yeah, I just call them CMs. Let's just call them all central midfielders. And you got to get them to work together. Man City are going for Haaland, interested in Rice and Pau Torres. What the F? How much money are they spending? You've got to remember here, guys. Haaland is cheap. £63 million for the best young striker in Europe since R9. The best young striker since R9. No young 9 since R9 has been as good at this, as good as him, as potent as him, as effective as him at this age. Facts. The facts don't lie. But he's available for 63 million pounds. That's nearly 20 million pounds cheaper than Harry Maguire. So of course they've got more money to spend. They're getting a 200 million pound player for almost 25% of that cost. It's cheap as chips. Cheap as chips. So that's how they're able to do it. It's going to be a very big summer. It's going to be a very, very, very big summer indeed. You can't even get away from how big it's going to be. Gargantuan, I would say. There we go. Listen, people, thank you very much for tuning in. It's been great interacting with you on this. We're back live after Manchester City versus Real Madrid later. Straight facts of Ligue 1 tomorrow. More stories, more news coming out. Paul Mitchell update to Man United. We'll take a look at the Pau Torres stories for you. Big update on Frankie de Jong as well. All on the Football Terrace. Make sure you're hitting the subscribe button and you've got the bell notification button done as well. And I know a lot of you have done this, but join our notification group as well, which is going to become really, really active over the coming weeks. It's available on Telegram. So that way you'll never miss another Football Terrace stream ever again. I'm going to post the links for that in the live comment section now, so you guys can click on it. You get no spam. It's only us that posting it. So no one else to see your numbers. No one will spam you. It's literally so you know when we're going live. And we put some exclusive transfer stories that we get via the Give Me Sport journalists as well. But until next time, my people, look after yourselves. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. I love you all very much. And we'll see you soon.